All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's another installment of the GMCCI Advocacy Podcast, Meet the Candidates. My name is Tony Loconsole with MPW, Muscatine Power and Water, and I'm delighted to be joined today with our guest, Nadine Brockert, who is seeking re-election for City Council. Nadine, someone that I've known for several years. We won't date ourselves. But it's good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thanks for being here. And remind us, I guess we'll do this in the introduction, and I should know who's over which ward. But could you do that in your introduction? Tell us which ward you represent, and then a little bit about yourself.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Nadine Brockert. I am the current 4th Ward representative on City Council, and that is the office I seek to retain. About me,
Yeah.
okay, my family hasn't really changed in the last 4 years. We still have a husband of 57 years.
Wow.
2 kids, 4 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. I've gained leadership skills through my association with Lions Clubs International. I am currently the president of the Fruitland Community Lions. In the past few years, I have served in the district governor roles. And then a couple of years ago, I was council chair for the entire state of Iowa, which means that I was the grand poobah, if you want to put it like that. Only I have a friend who was going to make me a hat, and I said, no, please don't do that. I received a presidential award, International President Award from Alliance International, the 3rd highest for leadership. I'm also currently a co-president of one of the local GFWC, General Federated Women's Clubs, which an organization that's been around for over 100 years because my great-grandmother was an officer there in the early 1920s. We both clubs have a mission of service to the community. GFWC, Phoenix Club, maybe not so much as some of the others, because we're running into the same sorts of things that all service clubs are. We're aging out. The younger generation just doesn't seem to be interested in belonging to an organization. They're very happy to help, but when it comes down to showing up for meetings and things like that, I'd rather not, sort of. And they do have busy lives, and we're trying to rewrite, redo things, rethink how best to serve our communities with that sort of thing in mind.
Well, you've got an impressive track record and all the things that you've done. 57 years of being married. Is my wife and I just celebrated our 13th anniversary.
So you're amateurs.
This is that's incredible for you guys. Congratulations. So we've got some questions we're going to run through with Nadine, and really glad that you're here. So we'll start with our first question. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing Muscatine today, and how would you address it, Nadine?
Actually, the most pressing thing is the legislation that is passed from our Iowa legislature that we've run up against new laws that seem to be counterproductive to what perhaps the legislators were hoping for to begin with. We hope to see those tweaked because that does have a debilitating effect on our general fund as far as taxation. And not that high taxes are a good thing. We all want our taxes to be lower, but we do have to support city services, our police, fire, and those sorts of things. And you can't do that with no money. And we are subject to the same sorts of barriers that everyone else is with inflation. hard to get items, supply chain issues, things of that nature.
That's a good answer. Number 2 for us is, how do you plan to engage with and represent the various voices of the Fourth Ward and then the broader Muscatine community?
During my first term, I instituted having monthly meetings in my ward, and that went pretty well. I had folks show up from our other uh, areas in town, and they were welcome. We loved having them. But once COVID came along, that just sort of destroyed having those meetings, and I did attempt to do it again, but interest seemed to have waned, and people were still a little leery of coming out and being around other folks. So hopefully that's something I can go back to and try again in the next 4 years.
Yeah, it seems like that was something, I've heard you talk about that and know that people enjoyed coming out. And I think that speaks to you wanting to hear from people and people wanting to share things with you. And that it's, we've been kind of saying how those that seek office, whether it's to be elected for the first time or reelected, it's not an easy thing to do, because you do really put yourself out there. You become a person that is stopped in a grocery store or on the street, and that is subject to feedback. But that I would, not to answer for you, but that is part of that role.
Yes,
on
and
city council.
sometimes they don't get the answer that they want, so that you become worthless.
Oh no!
Oh yes.
Let's be civil.
Well,
Our third question: what is your approach to balancing economic development with environmental sustainability in Muscatine? Another big question.
those entities need to work together. We can't really sacrifice our natural resources or make poor use of our resources just in the name of economic development. We have to know where the best places are to build, what our obstacles are, how we can overcome those obstacles, and work with the folks who can help us overcome those obstacles to make everything a win-win situation as much as possible. We don't really want to sacrifice, for instance, some of our old institutions, our old buildings, just in the name of progress. We need to catch those before they get to the point where it is not really a good idea or economically feasible to save them. And I know we've had some discussion around some of the old downtown buildings that really got too far to be able to be saved. And, you sympathize with those folks, but on the other hand, you've got this building that's falling in on itself, and it's just too long gone.
I was nodding because I own a house that was built in 1861, which is during the Civil War. Who thought? They're like, you know what we should do? We should build a house. And you have to take care of older pieces of property, infrastructure. And I am a fan of preserving when possible.
Yes.
And I think what you said is true, Nadine. If you wait too long, it becomes almost more costly to try and preserve something as opposed to build new.
Yeah, I think the building we're in right now is a perfect example of that. It was deteriorating, but someone stepped in time and started the renovation process, and now we have a beautiful building from the past that is occupied, and it's very functional today.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I should mention we're recording this in the Greater Muscatine Chamber of Commerce and Industry offices, which is a beautiful space downtown Muscatine on 2nd Street. Our fourth question, you alluded to it a little bit, but we'll speak a little bit more. How would you ensure transparency and accountability in city government, Nadine?
Make sure everyone knows that accountability and transparency is expected. You may have to call someone out on something in order to preserve that. But on the other hand, we cannot, not in this day and age, we cannot let anything slide or make it appear that there's something going on under the table that shouldn't be. In order for the public to trust us with their funds and their city, we need to be as open and honest and above board as humanly possible.
Question number 5 at the halfway point. Can you believe it?
Yay!
So if you're just Nadine's like, oh, you don't do interviews every day? You're so good.
I
You're doing a great
don't.
job.
Oh,
If you're just
thank you.
joining us, it's the GMCCI Advocacy Podcast. Meet the candidates with Fourth Ward City Council member Nadine Brockert, who is seeking re-election. November 4th is Election Day. We're informing the public so that you can feel good when you go to the polls. And please vote. I would often say to people, I don't care who you vote for, just go vote. It's your right, and we want you to do that. Number 5 for us questions, Nadine, what role should the City Council play in supporting public safety and emergency services?
We need to be the board, if you will, the council, that assures that we have adequate police and fire protection, that our people are made to feel that they are valued, that their ideas are welcome. We get them the best equipment we can possibly afford. We get them the training that is needed. And, you know, if it comes down to buying a cheap piece of equipment versus something that, you know, will do the job, you know, I don't feel comfortable buying it just because it's cheap. It needs to be effective. It needs to be able to stand up to a lot of the conditions that our firefighters and police officers run into that, and we expect them to go to these different dangerous situations, and they need the best, period.
My father is a retired Chicago police officer. I don't have what he has that's called when danger's happening, go towards it. I have what's called call 911 and have our fantastic Muscom dispatchers relay the support. Now, that being said, I have helped out when I've been able to in those circumstances. But I do think about that, and I think about in those instances, and this is just me, when I call 911, and I've done that, I want the best outcome for the situation, and I would not like it if those providing those sometimes often life-saving resources encounter any defective equipment or challenges to get from point A to point B. And that's just an opinion from yours truly. And I know that I'm also your second favorite Tony after Chief Tony Keys. Is that correct? Well.
He was my ride to council the other night because I was working with a walker.
Oh my. He is a good guy.
Yes, he is.
And maybe the most popular Tony in town, some would say. He would say that. No, I'm just kidding. Question number 6. How do you plan to collaborate with other council members, city staff, and community organizations?
Just get together, talk with them over coffee, lunch, breakfast, it doesn't matter. You know, getting together on an informal basis, as long as there aren't too many of us in the group at the same time. We get a lot of feedback from one another. We know where some of us have issues with things that are coming up, and maybe we can talk over the best ways to deal with those issues. So we don't go into council meetings blind and say, where did that come from? Because if you're talking to folks either over the phone or in face-to-face, communication amongst the 7 of us is important because, you know, we don't operate in a silo. We have to operate together.
That's a very good answer. I like that. Our next question, Nadine, is what is your vision for infrastructure improvements like roads, utilities, broadband, et cetera, in Muscatine?
Wow. Bring it.
That's a great answer.
We have funds that have been approved federally for Isett Avenue improvements, which have been needed for many, many years. We just don't know yet when we're going to be able to start that process. Would love to see, since Fulham Avenue is now completely reconstructed, we can redirect the dollars that by necessity went to Fulham because of the condition of that street prior to its being reconstructed. We will have monies in the budget for this upcoming year to be able to fix a few more potholes, fix a few more streets, and things like that. You know, alleys we've probably let go for way too long, and I know there are folks who are very concerned about their alleys because they're, you know, the way they get in and out of the rear of their properties. The dome is something else that we've got coming in that is very exciting, and there will probably be a lot of interest in developing in that area, which is Fourth Ward, by the way. Anyhow, yeah, everything I think will come. We just have to be willing to go out there and go get it.
I'm glad that you mentioned the alleys. And when Mayor Bark was here, I just gave a plug for that Muscatine Connect app, the ability for citizens to report issues. You can take pictures, you can put it right on a map. I've done it about 12 times or more, and each time I've done it anonymously, and each time my issue, whether it was a personal thing, my property, or just within the city, has been addressed, Nadine. One of those being my alley, which needed a little TLC, and it was not but a day and a half later when the fantastic city public works crew were in the alley addressing it. And again, and it's not because it was me, and I have no expectation of any preferential treatment because I'm just a person, and that's why I do those reports anonymously. But could you just speak to that service? Because it is, again, personally, it's fantastic. I can't recommend it enough when people need it.
Yes, Muscatine Connect, otherwise known as C-Click Fix. I have used it myself for folks who have requested it. I use my name. I don't see why I can't. You know, Tony, if you want to be anonymous, that's perfectly fine. But I have a dear friend in my ward who calls me every spring. Can you help us out? Our alley is just a mess. And usually he was perfectly capable of calling and getting it done on his own. But since he knows that I'm his council rep, he thinks I should be able to do it for him. So, and it's something I cheerfully do. I even drive down alleys myself and find ones that could use a little TLC as well. So
That's good.
yeah.
Question number 8. We're almost there. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. How do you approach budgeting and fiscal responsibility for city expenditures?
First, you have to see what you're going to have for revenue, and the way things are set up through the state, that's very difficult to do too far in advance because the legislature doesn't start meeting until right after the 1st of January. And then, you know, they may or may not make any changes. We don't know for sure what our allowable tax rate will be. This past year, we grew by 3.2%, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, it was over 3%. So we got knocked down to 2.
Oh.
Yeah, it's one of the state laws that I'm not sure that legislature really intended to strangle the cities with. Anyway, we need to cover the basics, the must-haves. We must pay our fire and police. We must contribute to their retirement funds. We must pay our people a wage that will keep them happy and, you know, productive in city work. We have a number of Fortune 500 companies in town who would be more than happy to pay a whole lot more than the city can afford for those skills that our people have. Then you go to the things that maybe you've delayed for a while because there weren't enough funds. See what we can cover there. The nice to haves, unfortunately, go to the bottom of the pile, even though there's something that, you know, gee, that'd be really neat. No, you have to do it like you do your budget at home. You cover what you have to first, and then see what's left.
It's a really good analogy for folks at home to think about it in that way. Because city funding, state funding can be very complex.
Yes.
But if you deduce it to that, it's a really nice way to think about it. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing is, though, I don't think folks really realize that we have several different pots that our money goes into. General fund is only one piece. We have the enterprise funds that includes ambulance, the golf course, a lot of parks and rec areas, marina. The dome eventually will be an enterprise fund. And with those enterprise funds, we expect those facilities that are enterprise funds to be self-sustaining. And in that vein, that also includes our roads. You know, folks, and I have too, before I knew better, thought that state or property taxes were also for roads. No, that's covered by the road use tax that is handled through Public Works.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, if in trying to explain it without having pencil and paper and a board to explain it is really difficult. You know, some of us on city council didn't even realize that that was what was going on, and we got a lesson this last year, and hopefully we will remember the lesson as we go forward.
Absolutely. We'd probably need a couple hours to just get into the financials of and how things work, but we've just got 2 questions left.
Okay.
And we appreciate Nadine being here. Question number 9, what is your stance on affordable housing and how would you support housing initiatives? We've talked a little bit about folks being able to get properties under control before they get to a certain point, but what is your stance when it comes to that affordable housing piece and supporting housing initiatives?
We'd need to work with landlords, bring them on board, make sure that they know the rules of the game, so to speak. Make sure that they would be willing to live in one of their rental properties. I know there are a lot of people who feel that rents are high. Yes, they are. But then we also have a shortage of affordable, if you will, workforce or low-income housing in Muscatine. We have built to try to alleviate that problem as much as possible to the detriment of building market rate, which is, you know, whatever you find on the MLS. With the new Clarabeck addition, we hope to alleviate some of that. But, you know, affordable and whose idea of affordable, because affordable means different things to me than it would for maybe a single mother of 3 who's trying to make ends meet. It's kind of a sticky wicket, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah, but we are working on getting more affordable housing. The Vitality Project in the Mulberry area is an example of state and city working together to revitalize a neighborhood, put in some multi-family housing. I think there's a triplex going up.
Correct. Behind Hy-Vee Main Street.
Behind Hy-Vee Main Street. And they're making that a nice little neighborhood, improving the sidewalks, putting in a little park so that kids will have a place to play, that safe place to play that's not in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
So
it's been a good project to watch come to light, as have many of things. I would say if we go back to your ward, just as an aside, the Taylor Street project and the splash pad. My goodness, give me another splash pad somewhere in this town. Easier said than done. That's a Tony take. But what a lift that was when I think about the Franklin School neighborhood. And what I love, Nadine, and my family and I are often at Taylor Street splash pad, is how it pulls people from its own backyard, so to speak, but then folks from across town, across the bypass. Really a good asset and a job well done by all involved, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our last question, we're heading to it, number 10.
Okay.
Can you believe it? All right. How will you measure success during your term if elected, Nadine?
How would I measure success? If elected and I'm still there in 4 years, I think success would be everyone working together. We're all in the same boat. We all need to paddle the same direction. It doesn't take much for things to be disrupted by someone who's not paddling along with everybody else. So I believe that, we working together as a team is very important as far as being able to realize goals that we have set, and some of our goals have been pretty lofty, but by gosh, we've done it.
Yeah.
And the reason we have done it is because we all believed, we all worked together.
That's fantastic. Well, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. This has been the GMCCI Advocacy Podcast, Meet the Candidates. Nadine Brockert, 4th Ward City Council member seeking re-election. Election day is November 4th in Muscatine. We hope that you have enjoyed watching this, and we will see you soon with another candidate. And thank you again for tuning in. Bye, everybody.